Doug, the issues that the defense had late in game one and game two, were they connected in any way? Regardless, are they easy fixes?
Nah, not really connected. Kind of separate incidences, but obviously an issue. It was, I think, 14 plays, 170 yards, and 13 points. We self-scouted that, and obviously we broke it down in detail. Last week, the real issue was the in the game situation, 4th and 20 play. We had a coverage bust. We were supposed to be playing man-to-man underneath. And they came out and empty in a 3-man bunch to the field, and we made a check that we shouldn't have made, which we ended up busting the coverage, which is obviously on me, and we got to get that cleaned up. It is really disheartening because it takes away from so much positive that we had in the game. Couple career performances, 6 sacks, 12 TFLs, 3 interceptions, pick 6, and then, G gets the pick there at the, at the end of the game, and ball's on the 21 with a minute left, and I think our guys just relaxed, felt the game was over. We played over 100 plays, and, the message this week has been no matter what you do in the game, we got to be able to finish. In the first 2 weeks, we didn't do a good job of finishing the game, so we've addressed that. We got to continue to get better. It's something to learn from. My responsibility to make sure these guys are ready to play and finish the game, no matter what the situation is. 2 overtime games, a lot of plays played, and, fatigue makes a coward of us all. And, when you're tired and things are on the line, you got to be able to execute. And we didn't do that last week. So it cost us major, and it's very disheartening, especially for me, because my job is to do everything I can to make sure that those guys are in position to make plays and be successful on and off the field.
Thanks, Mark. We'll pass it along to Ryan Mcneil. Ryan?
Sorry, I had to unmute there. Coach, nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you.
I was a teacher for 17 years, and I'm always looking, as a teacher, for teachable moments. When you're looking back on the 2 overtime games, what are some teachable moments that you've shared with the players? Or even myself as a teacher, I was looking for ways I could improve, things that I could do differently. So what are some teachable moments that have come up for you so far this season?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, I pride myself on being a great teacher and being a detailed person. So, situational awareness and understanding the situation in the game is one thing, to be able to go out there and make plays and do things well on base downs, but on critical downs, you have to execute at a high level. In the 2-minute drill, the one emphasis is we don't need heroes, and you got to be in the right assignment, right alignment, and do exactly what you're supposed to do to be successful in those moments. And, the biggest thing that I've kind of told our guys is you can look at it 2 ways. You can look at it as a lesson and learn from it, or you can look at it as a failure and hold your head. And at this point, it's a lot of football left in front of us, and we have to do a good job of understanding, how to correct those things. And, we got to make some tweaks, make some things easier for them, and so they can understand. And, it's one of those things early in the season. We have a new crew out there. I mean, we ran the same exact call that we ran against Texas Tech during the game against SMU when we won it last year. You know what I mean? So as a coach, I have to do a better job of putting those guys in position. But at the same time, is doing things they can understand. And everybody's different how they learn, how they approach the game. And so some guys just need to be visually see things, and some guys need to walk through it and go out there and play to be able to correct some of those mistakes. But overall, I think it's just showing them, where we went wrong or things that they did well. And so when guys do things well, we want to commend them and pat them on the back and show everybody and call it out. But when we make mistakes, we don't only want to correct the guy that made the mistake or fix the call. We want to make sure everybody understands why and why it's important to do it the right way.
Thank you for the insight, Coach. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. We'll pass it along to Chris Baldwin. Chris?
Hey, Doug. Can those 3 interceptions in the last 20 minutes of game time, can that be a confidence booster for this secondary that's still coming together?
Yeah, I mean, I think it will be. Overall, the one thing that gives you the most confidence is winning, and we didn't win the game. Second of all, guys doing their job, making plays, and you always make more plays within the scheme. Really proud of those guys because all 3 of those plays had a high level of difficulty, you know what I mean? And starting with Art in the deep part of the field, making a big time play, flipping the field. Jay's playing with a lot of confidence, made a big play, broken the ball, touchdown at a time that we really needed one, gave us a chance to stay in the game. And, obviously the play that G made at the end of the game was pretty spectacular to be able to put us in position to have a chance to stay in the game there. But overall, I think, anytime that you are able to, make those type of plays is going to give us confidence going forward. And, we're playing a little bit more man and zone combination than we did last year, just because of some of the guys that we have and where we're at as far as our development. But those guys did a great job making plays, and usually when you get few, the confidence comes and you get them in bunches. So hopefully we continue to do that.
We'll send it over to Joseph Duarte.
Hey, Doug, how you doing?
Hey, JD, how you doing, bro?
Good, thanks. Doug, the number of plays, did you get a sense that, I mean, it's hard to go out there for that number and to keep the intensity. Was there a lot of this fatigue factor this type of year? Or do you feel like, you guys were, really kind of exhaust what you can do defensively when you're out there that much?
There's really no excuse. When your numbers call, you got to go out there and play. Fatigue hit us a little bit. We were able to bounce back. We had a couple guys get IVs during the game, come back in. We had some guys cramped and come back. I think we totaled 106 plays, which is a lot of football, right? But, the sign of a true competitor is being your best when your best is needed. You know what I mean? And at the end of the game, you got to find a way to dig deep, and you got to be more mentally strong and physically strong. So, I think our strength coach does a great job, and those guys, we're in shape, we're in condition, and I think the plan that Coach Holgerson has had to get us ready for the game has worked, and it's been successful. It's just one of those teachable moments like we talked about with Ryan a few minutes ago that you have to learn from about, executing. And, when those times come, we got to give them, some type of scheme or plays that they can easily execute without a lot of thinking and a lot of checks, so we can execute at a high level and play fast and finish the game and do things the right way.
If I could clarify, Doug, you mentioned earlier the same play. I think it was, you said SMU.
It was the same type of coverage.
Which one are we talking about? The 4th and 20?
The last play of the game, yes. It was the same type of coverage. We just made a coverage check, and it ended up turning the guy loose. And unfortunate. And like I said, that's
Okay.
my responsibility to make sure those guys are in the right position to make those plays. I'll never blame a kid for making a mistake in the game, because that's my duty and that's what I'm here for. And so, I trust those guys to go out there and play football. And at the end of the day, we just got to be able to make those plays.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll send it over to Andy Yanez. Andy?
Hey, Doug, how you doing?
Hey, Andy, how you doing?
I'm good. I wanted to ask you about Derek Parish. Yesterday, Dana Holgerson said that his performance against Texas Tech is probably one of the most dominant he's ever seen from a defensive player. I'm curious from your perspective, what did you see from Parish that really allowed him to be as disruptive as he was against Tech?
He just plays with relentless effort. He's one of the guys who is the standard in the defensive unit, just the way he plays, the way he approaches the game. And it's really just way more impressive just for the fact that he has a cast and he only has one hand, and it's very difficult to shed blocks with one hand against 300-pound guys. And they had length, they had 6'6" tackles, and he was able to make some plays and affect the game. But he made the play for us to really get back in the game against UTSA as well. When he came off the edge, Caesar got the pick. So he's just continued to get better. He's hungry. He's a detail-oriented guy. His relationship with Coach Early and some of the things that you see us doing pass rush is pretty impressive. But, my expectation is high from him. Just what he's been able to overcome in the last couple of weeks has been even more impressive, having surgery on a Thursday, playing on a Saturday, able to affect that game, getting used to playing with a cast and just being dominant at the point of attack. And his physical strength and his mental toughness allows him to do things that a lot of other people can't do. And I think that's what separates him from a lot of the guys. And then, the competition in the room. Caesar's made plays to affect the game. DeAnthony Jones has made plays to affect the game. And, they're always competing, and there's a lot of competition in there. So I think that just increases the level of production as well. And, that's one of the most disheartening things is you look at a national record-setting performance by Parrish and not being able to celebrate that a little bit more.
Thanks, Andy. We'll pass it along to Chris Baldwin.
Doug, how have you seen, Chase Rogers develop over the last few years? What are the biggest, differences you see in him?
Just overall, his confidence is really unmatched. If you've ever been around him, always has a lot of energy. He's always talking, always communicating, and for a guy that's small in stature, he thinks he's the biggest guy on the field. So he's got a heart of a lion. He's probably one of the best competitors that we have on our team, and he was very close with Pepe and Marcus, and they kind of played the same positions. And we moved him around. We could do a lot from him. His football IQ is high, and he just plays really physical and plays fast for his size. And we just love his energy. So really proud of him. Has developed. He's not a captain, but he has developed a lot of. He has a voice in the locker room just based off of how he prepares, how he practices, and how he plays. And I think his energy is infectious to our team, especially defensively. Just some of the plays he was able to make. I think he played one of his best games that he's played probably since he's been at the University of Houston. And he wants to be out there in those big moments, and he wants to make plays. But ultimately, his heart and the type of teammate that he is really impressive. And I think that he's going to continue to get better as we continue to play more ball. And he knows what's on the line. And he always is trying to motivate others around him to be great. And so that's probably his greatest quality.
What came together for him in that interception? What was he able to see there?
The big thing that we've been seeing is, at that point in the game, we had a zone pressure called, and he was on too. The ball was coming out fast. Parrish was having a lot of success. DA had gotten a couple pressures. Caesar gotten a couple pressures, and Jamari had been back there as well as a host of other guys. And so we were expecting the ball to come out quick. We were really in a simulator and really supposed to only blitz 4. But the flow went away, and he stood there flat-footed, and he rolled the dice a little bit, and he made that play. That top speed that he had, and the way that he was able to go score the football. It was just a big play at the time, and time is needed, and that's the sign of a true competitor, like we talked about a few minutes ago. Just gotta get him cleaned up. Don't want to dive in the end zone, but outside of that, it was a big play in the game.
Send it along to Joseph Duarte.
Doug, you mentioned Jamari Caldwell. I'm just curious from maybe what you went into the season thinking, early playing time to what you've seen. What's been your evaluation of him?
I've been around a lot of really good players, and just from a physical talent perspective, he has some elite traits. He has not played a lot of football, so he's got to get used to playing with the right techniques and being in this gap and doing things the right way. But as far as a player, he has, for a guy that's 350 plus pounds, it's the way that he moves, the way that he changes directions, and the burst that he has is pretty impressive. He was an offensive lineman that flipped over to play defensive lineman. So that's not something you see often. It's usually the other way around. But the more he cleans up his technique and the more he understands our scheme, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I think, not only is he powerful, but he has pass rush ability, and he plays with a high level of effort. He's coachable, and he's a great kid from a great family. So we're excited about him, and I think the future is going to be very bright. We're going to continue to get him going and get him more reps as the season continues to go on here.
Your defense by no means is your defensive line is by no means easy to crack with the veterans that you have in the rotation. Does that say a little bit also of, at the same time, you don't want to put a lot on somebody early, but when they can sort of rise to the challenge and make a smooth, insertion into that group?
Yeah, I think overall, I think he just has slowly developed, slowly gotten in shape. It's impressive what he's been able to do, honestly, because he did not play spring football. He got here in the summer. And so that's always a challenge as far as not only learning what to do, but as well as being in physical condition to be able to go out there and compete. And I think he's taking it very seriously, and he does a really good job of, maintaining his body and continue to try to develop. We still got to continue to get him in better shape and play with technique and continue to do all of those little things, the details that we talk about. But he's probably ahead of schedule of where we thought he may be. But he's only going to continue to get better. But, we always believe that when you get, good kids, that it's important to, with high character, that they're always going to find a way to get better. And he's an example of one of those type of kids.
Send it over to Mark Berman.
Doug, this might be an obvious question, but how much do you think what's happened in the first two games will drive your defense in the home opener on Saturday?
Oh, our guys are pissed, and we've let it be known that you can't make critical mistakes. And Coach Holgerson said something to me the other day, which I completely agree with. And we were talking about the game, and we played about 90%. It was that 10% of mistakes and 10% of penalties and extended drives and playing undisciplined football at times that cost us, in major times. And if you want to be a championship level team, you can't have those type of mistakes and penalties, in critical times in the game. And we're playing a quality opponent that's well coached, and especially you can take the first and the second game into account. And so that goes back to those lessons that we talked about that we have to continue to do. And this is a different team and a different identity, and we're still trying to develop that identity. And I'm really proud of our guys because they competed for 100 plays with those couple plays that we didn't. It shows up on tape and the film doesn't lie. So we got to continue to develop those guys and mentally and physically to do things the right way, especially when, your best is needed or in critical situations of the game.
What concerns you about Kansas's offense?
Man, they're the best combination of, physicality and scheme that we've seen. Their quarterback is electric and their offensive line is big and physical. They play a lot of different people. They have a lot of different shifts and motions. The challenge is going to be as great for us as been all season, probably the most difficult preparation that we will have. So, it's even more motivating factor for our guys to come in and prepare the right way. If not, things will get exposed very quickly. They're well coached, and I think that they're motivated too. They're averaging 55 points a game. They're just coming off a big win in Morgantown. So those guys are going to come in here with a high level of confidence, and we have to be prepared to match that energy and play with a higher level of detail and discipline, to be able to win this game this weekend.
Send it over to Chris Baldwin. Chris?
Doug, we were talking to Donovan, Muton, and he was saying, like, as soon as the schedule comes out, he's scouting your opponents in the offseason, offensive coordinators, backgrounds of players. I mean, have you had a player who's as detailed or as much into that kind of thing as him before?
Man, I've been around a few guys that have been similar. But he's definitely in the upper echelon of that. He's a very intelligent young man. I think he's like a 3.7 GPA. He wants pre-med. He knows what he wants to do. And he approaches everything with that same detail. He's a creature of habit, but, winning is important to him, but leading is more even important to him. So studying his opponent, and you can see in the way that he plays, that he is prepared. Double-digit tackles and TFLs in the last two games, our leading tackler from last year. So, his preparation shows in his performance. And, I think the beautiful thing about him is he's trying to bring others along with him. So, when he's watching film, it's always other guys around him. And if they're not, he's always delivering that quality information to other people. So I would say he's definitely in the top 2 or 3 guys that I've ever been around as far as the way that he prepares.
We'll keep it open for a couple more and send it over to Andy Yanez. Andy?
Doug, I'm curious, from your perspective, what have you seen from Art Green and Hogan early on in the season, especially, kind of growing into the new roles that they've approached into the new season?
Yeah, I think overall we're doing a solid job. Some technique things that we got to get cleaned up. And, Alex is a competitor. He's going to roll the dice and gamble a little bit. He's got to continue to develop and do some things better. But overall, he's played a lot of football, and he's going to be important for us going down the stretch. Art has kind of turned into, cornerback one, I would say, on our team right now. And, his production the first few weeks has been pretty impressive. The big 2 or 3 third down stops that he had in one-on-one situations, against UTSA was very impressive. And then last week, they didn't really get anything going to his side at all. He had an interception, had a couple big stops for us right there. So his progression has been pretty impressive, with the physical stature that he has. Great kid, good person, does everything the right way. And you can see it show up on tape. And then, we play a couple of those other young guys in the teeth. And Jalen Emery's played a lot of snaps in there, and even DeMarcus has played at nickel. So, when you put that combination together, I think we're growing in the right direction. I think we have a lot of work to do, but Art has been able to come up big, and Alex had some big plays in the UTSA game that on critical downs too that helped us win the game. So I think we're moving in the right direction, not where we want to be yet. But I think the beautiful thing about those guys and particularly Art, he's ready for that moment. And during the game, he's motivating others, and I think his confidence is sky high right now. And I think he's only going to continue to get better. And, with that type of length, he's hard to throw the ball on. And we need him to be that guy in the boundary and even to the field to be able to take away number one receivers. And he's been able to do a good job of doing that so far. So hopefully he continues to get better and we're able to use him more in that role.
We'll send it to Joseph Duarte, and then the final question to Chris Baldwin. Joseph?
Doug, sticking with corners, has it been a matter of opportunity or situations in terms of getting Justice or Moses or Abdul work early on? And how do you see, what are you seeing in practice that maybe shows you that they are close or are able to sort of go in when you need them?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we've been in 2 dog fights and we've had very little margin for error. So we've gone with the experience. Jalen and Latif both played last week. The game's moving fast, the tempo, tight games. We've kind of relied on a lot of guys with experience, and we're going to continue to develop them and get them ready to play. For us to go where we want to go, we're going to need everybody on the roster. And then a couple of those guys have been nicked up with injuries as well. So we'll continue to develop those guys, continue to keep them healthy and increase the competition. And we want to play as many guys as we can. And that was one of our advantages last year, is the depth that we had at that position. Alex and Art were rotational starters and backups last year, and now they're the starters. So we have to create the depth with these young guys, to have those same roles on our team now. But we want to get those guys in there. You're talking about a couple freshmen and sophomores. We want to get them reps and so they could be ready down the stretch. And then for their future, this development is going to be very important. And a lot of guys that you're going to see play, they'll be playing here for a long time. And I think they'll be good players and a high level of talent. We just got to continue to get them ready to go.
Coach, want to pass along one more your way from James Mueller, just the challenges that Kansas's running back room presents and what you see from that unit.
Yeah, I mean, they got 4 backs all over 200 pounds with production, starting off with Neil. He could hit home runs. He could change directions. I mean, he's 210 pounds, but runs like he's 190, probably 185. And he's got some really elusiveness. And then all their backups are kind of the same mold, in between 215 and 220, around 5'11", 6 feet, with explosiveness, and they have power. This team prides itself on being physical, and we have to match that. And they have size, they have length, but most of all, their scheme can create a lot of issues. They run multiple formations, multiple personnel groupings, a lot of shifts, a lot of motions. There's some option principles in there as well that you'll see, and the quarterback is electric when he gets in space. Probably the best combination of a runner and a passer that we have seen up to this point. And, that's saying a lot because we had a great level of respect for, Harris at UTSA. I think he's one of the best players that we'll play against all year. Now, obviously, last week, the quarterback created different type of challenges with his length and his arm strength and his ability to extend plays. And this guy is a combination of both, and he's electric. So when you talk about the running back room, you have to include him as well, just with the way that he runs the ball. They're not in third down situations a lot. They're number one in third down conversions, the top 15 in rushing offense, and, those things, and they're top 10 in scoring as well. I mean, 55 points, 2 games in a row is pretty impressive. So, when you think about what we're up against, I mean, Kansas is a Power 5 Big 12 football team that we have to have a great level of respect for to be able to go win the game. So our guys understand that, and they understand the challenges that they present with being well coached and having good players as well as a good scheme. We'll have to be ready to go, and I think we'll be ready. Our guys are motivated, not really only because of last week, because they want to win. and they want to do things the right way. And we've learned a lot of lessons over these first 2 games, and we're gonna continue to develop these guys and challenge them on things that we need to do, because the ultimate goal is to win, and our guys are hungry to be winners. And so I think that we talk about Kansas, they're 2-0, and I think they'll come in with confidence because they have won. And they're moving in the right direction as well. So it'll be a challenge, but we're excited for that challenge.
Thanks, Coach. Last question to Chris Baldwin. Chris?
Doug, you mentioned the defense being mad and, maybe annoyed. Will you use that, 4th and 20 as motivation, or is it something you don't want them to think about too much? Or what's the line there between, bringing it up, not bringing it up, and sort of using that?
No, we've already talked about it. I'm talking to you guys about what happened last Saturday. Right now, we're focused on Kansas. Our guys are all in on Kansas and what we have to do to win a game this week. We've talked about that enough, and they understand what the challenges are and things that we need to improve on. And a lot of that starts with me. And that's my responsibility and our coaching staffs, and we will continue to develop that. But overall, our guys, we got a lot of guys with experience, and a lot of guys who were in Cincinnati last year when that confetti was falling, and they were raising the trophy, conference championship trophy. And I think that that's enough motivation, just that we can still accomplish all of our goals of where we're at. And then overall, a lot of guys have been here for a long time, like the guys that made a lot of plays: Derek Parish, Jace Rogers, Nelson Caesar, Donovan Muton, Malik, Javarius Owens, Hassan Hippolyte, and a lot of the guys that we depend on to be really good players are also the leaders on this team. And so a lot of those guys have played a lot. And so motivation to win comes from within. I don't think one circumstance changes the way that you think. You change the way you think by how you prepare and how you approach the game. And our guys have done an excellent job of how they prepare and how they've approached the game. And the 2 goals we have every week, we got to continue to make sure that they travel, and that's playing with more effort and being more physical than our opponents. And, the other thing that we just got to continue to develop is finishing and playing with a high football IQ and those things that we coach each and every day. So I don't think that has anything to do with us wanting to win this game. I think it has everything to do with the work that our players have put in and the camaraderie and the brotherhood that they have in the locker room. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the players, and we got to continue to do everything we can to get those guys ready to play and put them in position to win.
Coach, appreciate your time and wish you best of luck on Saturday.
I appreciate it, fellas.
Everyone, we'll pick back up here in just a moment. We will have Tank Dell sitting down with us, I think, as I speak. So we'll pick right back up almost immediately. All set? Yep. All right, everybody. We are joined by wide receiver Tank Dell. Tank, thanks so much as always for your time. For our media here, just ask you to use the raise your hand tool, and we can get questions passed along your direction. So we'll give it just a moment for those questions to come through, and we can go ahead and lead off with Joseph Duarte.
Hey, Tank, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good, man. Hey, just wanted to get your thoughts. Did you notice, maybe from the first half to that first play after halftime, is sort of the opportunity there to maybe get things going Saturday? That big pass play that you have, was that sort of what was maybe not there in the first half that you guys saw something there to begin the second half that way?
It was just a look from the other coaches who was in the skybox. They saw how they was playing on me, the coverage, bracket coverage. So he saw the leverage they was giving me and things like that. So we just executed. Well, we went in the locker room, drew the play up because we was looking at it on the field, so we knew it was gonna work. So we just drew it up in the locker room and came back out and executed it.
Have you kind of figured out, Tank, maybe what it is about the first 2 quarters that, to get this offense rolling?
We just got to come out, and execute. That's the main thing. Keep the main thing. We just got to come out and execute, come out fast, come out ready. Like, everybody got to be ready to play from the first quarter to the last quarter, not just the second half of the game. But it's nothing that we can't, fix. So we'll be good.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll send it over to Chris Baldwin. Chris?
Hey, Tank, has the punt returns, getting 2 returns, touchdowns, but getting them called back? I mean, how frustrating is that, and how do you sort of, deal with that, knowing that what you're doing is working, but there's still, still a glitch at the end?
I'm really not frustrated at all. I can't control the uncontrollables. So I'm just keep doing what I can do every time the ball touch my hands. I'm just keep trying to, take them back to the crib. But we just got to clean up the little mistakes that we keep making on them type of situations, and we'll be okay.
Thanks, Chris. We'll send it along to Mark Berman. Mark?
Nathaniel, I know it's kind of old news because but I haven't had a chance to ask you this question. When one of the big national guys named you the most exciting player in college football, what'd you think about that?
It was cool. I felt that way about myself already. I'm very confident in myself, very self-motivated. So it was just cool getting recognition from everyone else. But it's nothing I'm like getting too high on, because I still got to go in and put the work in, and make plays out there to, hold myself into that position. So it's just cool to hear that come from people.
So you already considered yourself the most exciting player in college football?
Huh?
You had already considered yourself the most exciting player in college football. Is that what you're saying?
For sure. I feel like, me personally, of course, I feel like when I get the ball, I can make a lot of plays. So I feel like that's how I gotta feel. I'm very self-confident and motivated. So yeah, I feel like that.
Thanks, Mark. We'll send it over to Joseph Duarte.
Thank you. Have such high standard for yourself, but I'm curious to get those 2 returns for touchdowns, even though they didn't count. Was this sort of what you thought, capability wise, that you could do? I mean, I know Marcus was the guy back there last year, but to do what you've done, has that maybe surprised you a little bit, or do you feel like that, that's, in your own way, this is what you could do?
Oh no, I'm not surprised at all. I felt like I was capable of doing those things. It was just Marcus' turn last year, and I feel like now I'm in that position and got the chance to do it. So I feel like I'm more than capable of doing those things. So I'm gonna just keep going out there and trying to do that.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll send it over to Andy Yanez. Andy?
Hey, Tank. I'm curious, from obviously in your position as a leader in the receiver group, have you had a message for any of the younger guys, just in terms of how the first 2 games have gone, and maybe just any bit of advice that you can share with us, just what that messaging has been with the younger receivers?
Yeah. So my message to the other receivers, older and younger, just when your name called, when your number called, make the plays. Because we've been coming out a little slow, a few drops here and there. And I'm just telling them, like, don't get down on yourself. Like, when your number's called, just go out there and make the play. Don't think too high of yourself, don't think too low of yourself. Just be ready when your number called. That's all I'm telling them. Like, stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Thanks, Andy. We'll send it over to Chris Baldwin.
Tank, what have you seen from Matthew Golden these first 2 games? Touchdown and overtime last week. How have you seen him, sort of continue to come along?
Yeah, he's been growing. I feel like Matt, he an all around receiver. He catch great, run good routes and all things like that. But besides, like, from the receiver standpoint, like, he's been out there blocking, like, from the perimeter. He's getting his hands on guys and forcing them where, like, pushing them out of bounds. He's been a great teammate. He's trying to lead. Like, even though he's the youngest in the room, he's trying to lead by example. He's going out there every play, giving 100%. He's blocking. He's running his routes, catching the ball. He's making plays. Made a play in a big time moment. I'm so happy for him. First touchdown in his college career, versus Texas Tech last week. So I'm just happy for him. But he's growing for sure.
Keep it open if there's additional questions for Tank before we let him go. We'll send it to Chris.
Tank, when the offensive line is struggling a little bit, are there adjustments you have to make as a receiver, or sort of noticing what's going on, or how do you sort of approach that when Clayton may not have as much time?
We just go out there and still try to run our offense, try to execute, best way possible. I feel like, O-line, they don't really get too much. They don't get too much love. They get all the hate because, the position they play. So they don't see when they're doing good. They just see, like, when Tune getting rushed out the pocket or getting sacked and stuff like that. So I just tell them, like, just keep doing what y'all doing, keep blocking, keep giving 100% effort, and we can make something happen at any time. We can pop a play at any time. Just don't worry about nothing else. Just do your job, do your responsibility, and we're gonna be good.
Thanks, Chris. We'll pass it along to Joseph Duarte.
Tank, when you're lined up and you have a defender in front of you, has there ever been an instance do you ever hear any wild stuff? Do they try to get in your head? Do they say things that may, try to trigger you a little bit, or do you say things back?
Of course, I'm talking from the moment we get out there to the end of the game. So yeah, like when they lined up, they're trying to get under my skin, which they can't get under my skin. Can't nobody get under my skin, but they be trying to say like slick things. Like I know some people was like, you overrated. First game, they telling me I'm overrated. Last game, they just telling me like, oh, you not like that, yada, yada, yada. I remember I got tackled on that sideline. Like everybody on the sideline was just talking, just saying everything, and I'm out there talking stuff back. Like, I'm not letting none of that get to me. I'm out there. We all out there just kumbaya, and everybody selling now. I'm talking to them. They talking to me, and I just go back and get lined up. We're gonna do it again the next play.
Is it does it ever get as it was mentioned earlier, Donovan researches his opponents and stuff, but does it ever get personal? I've heard guys in the past that really dig deep and start talking about players, girlfriends, mamas, all that kind of stuff.
See, no, I be digging, but I don't dig that deep. I don't bring nobody family members and none of that into my family members get brought into it. But other than that, I'm keeping it strictly football, just telling you like that you can't guard me and stuff like that. But some games when I'm in that mode, I can get deep though, but I don't really try to do all that too much. Try to focus on the assignment.
That little move on that big play to begin the second half, did that guy tell you anything after that play? Looks like you guys nudged each other a little bit.
Oh no, he didn't say nothing. He couldn't say nothing after that. He didn't say nothing. He just got up and got back lined up. I said some stuff though, but gonna keep that in the past.
Thanks, Tank.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll send it over to Chris Baldwin.
Tank, have you seen different coverages from defenses this year? Or are they trying to do things differently with you, or more attention? What have you noticed through these first two games? How teams are trying to guard you.
Yeah, it's been wild. Like from the first game, like I remember going into the first game, like the coverage, like everywhere I was getting like trapped. Like it was like if I was in the slot, I was getting like a cover two. So the cornerback would be like in the flats, and there'd be a linebacker inside of me and a safety over top. And then they started doing bracketed. And then like last game, I was just getting like Texas Tech, I was getting bracketed. So he was just playing me like outside. They was playing man, but he was like outside leverage man, and the safety was watching me at all times. So it was just like I was just getting bracketed a lot. So last year I was getting more one-on-one coverages, just me and one dude. I just got to beat my defender. This year I'm going against like 2-3 defenders every play. I got to just try to make something happen.
Do you take pride in still being able to produce, even when you're seeing that kind of bracketing coverage?
Oh yeah, I tell Tune, I tell my coaches all the time, I don't care how many people out there, if all 11 was guarding me, I'm gonna be open. That's just my mindset, and I feel like every receiver should have that mindset, the confidence in themselves to get open. So yeah, I don't really care like who out there. I'm ready to play football. So that's all there is to it.
Thanks, Chris. We'll keep it open if there's one more. Otherwise, we'll let Tank go here. Tank, appreciate your time and best of luck on Saturday.
All right, thank y'all.
Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for your time here today. We're joined by quarterback Clayton Tune. Clayton, appreciate your time as always. We'll go ahead and open up questions. Just ask the media to use the raise your hand tool, and we will get things passed along your direction. And we can lead off with Chris Baldwin. Chris.
Hey, Clayton. Dana was, talking about how, the crowd and how big it would be to have a big crowd. I mean, what is your sense of, what's the mood on campus? Are, people into it? And, I mean, obviously you got to concentrate on things within lines, but do you notice, when you're in the stadium, when there's a big crowd?
Yeah, definitely. I think it helps us out. It raises the energy and gives us that extra boost. So yeah, definitely. I think there's a good vibe, and I think it's going to be a good turnout Saturday.
Send it over to Joseph Duarte.
Clayton, just early thoughts on Kansas. Anything jump out at you? Dana mentioned yesterday that it's certainly not the Kansas of old that they had, and that they're very aggressive and very motivated. to turn things around over there.
Yeah, they're a good team. Obviously, they're coming off a big win against West Virginia and Morgantown, which is impressive. But yeah, no, they're a good team. You know, we're going to treat them as such and prepare to the best of our abilities and you know, go out and, you know, we're not worried about necessarily who it is. It's the next opponent. So we're preparing like any other team.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll pass it along to Andy Yanez. Andy?
Hey, Clayton. I was just curious from your perspective, what have you seen early on in the two games that have really, from an offensive perspective, might have been getting off to slow starts? Is it something that just the way the game has played out, or is there something that you feel can get corrected going forward?
It could definitely be corrected. I think it's just little details, you know, little things matter. And we're not doing the little things right. So that's something we've talked about, you know, for the last few days and something we're going to continue to talk about. So it's definitely fixable.
And if I could follow up, Andrew, just can you give an example of some of the little things? Like, is it, yeah, like what are some of the examples that of the little things?
You know, just getting lined up in the right places. You know, just as details, really just details of certain plays. You know, we're just not executing the small details of each play correctly. So
Thanks, Andy. We'll pass it along to James Mueller. James?
Yeah, Clayton, going back to Joseph's question a minute ago, has there been anything that stands out about the Kansas defense from the film you've studied? Just some challenges that they present, sort of their strengths?
I think they're pretty good in the back end. I mean, they have good players all over the field, but I think what they do best is they just play really hard and they fly around. So, you know, we're going to have to match that intensity and you know, bring even more than they do. So that's the thing that stands out is just, you know, they fly around and play with high effort and high energy.
Pass it back to Joseph Duarte.
Clayton, I'm not sure how much you can hear out there, but like maybe when you're under center or back in the gun, do you ever hear defensive players talk? Do they come at you at all in terms of, you know, what they say? Or, you know, Tank was just saying that, you know, they'll get in his face and call him overrated, or they'll try to get into his mind or something. Is it even worse for a quarterback?
I don't know. I'm pretty good about not listening to that stuff. So I really don't even hear it, to be honest. And that's maybe because they're not saying anything, but even if they are, I'm not hearing it. So I don't really know. I don't hear it at all.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll send it to Chris Baldwin. Chris?
Clayton, you've had a few, you know, long plays, the one to open the second half tech, the Matthew Golden got the long pass interference in the first game. But I mean, do you think there's more chances to push the ball downfield? And is that something you guys are looking at?
Yeah, it is. It's definitely something that we're going to do more going forward. Something that we realize we need to do more. So yeah, for sure.
Send it along to Mark Berman. Mark?
Clayton, I know you don't play on the defensive side of the ball, but Doug Belk said a while ago when he was asked if what's happened the first two games will drive the Houston defense and he said they're pissed. What do you expect from your defense against Kansas in the home opener?
I think they're going to play. I mean, they've played really well the last two games. I think it's easy to blame the defense because, you know, the end of the game comes down to, you know, them on the field. But I think in both of those games, it wouldn't have come down to those situations had we executed better on offense. So it's easy to point the finger at them. But we need to do better and pulling our weight on offense. And, you know, I have full faith and trust in them and what they're doing.
Thanks, man.
We'll send it along to Joseph Duarte.
Along those lines, Clayton, the extending drives is, you know, from week 1 to week 2, was that a big takeaway in terms of maybe not having those longer drives that consume time off the clock?
Yeah, for sure. No doubt.
Is that, I mean, the obvious things are it helps keep your defense fresh and off the field, but at the same time, was that hampered a little bit just because of, you know, you guys didn't have a lot going in the backfield with injuries and stuff? Was that sort of part of the inability to keep things going?
I mean, I don't know, maybe a little bit, but like I said earlier, I think it's just the little details within each play. You know, I don't think we're doing the little things right or as well as we need to be doing. And, those little things, spring plays and cause good things to happen. I don't know if y'all remember, but on that first drive, on that third down, we were short by half a yard, so somewhere in there, on the first 2 downs, if we, do our job better, do the little things right, we'd have gotten more yards on first down, and then, the third down would have been converted. But, we were half a yard short because of, a result of not doing the little things right on first and second down. So that's what I mean when, I'm
Right.
talking about taking care of the details.
Gotcha.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll send it to Chris Baldwin. Chris?
I mean, is tempo something you're working on as well as an offense, and can that change things, playing with a different tempo? How have you felt you guys have done in that, aspect with the first 2?
Yeah, we've been talking about it. We didn't play with any tempo against UTSA. And then this past week against Tech, we tried a little bit more, but we didn't do as much tempo as we were talking about doing. So I think, this week we're talking about doing a little bit. It's not who we are as an offense. We're not just trying to run as many plays as possible, as fast as possible. We want to be efficient, but also be fast. So it's just kind of finding a balance of both.
Thanks, Chris. We'll keep it open if there's additional questions for Clayton before we let him go.
Clayton, what you think of Derek Parish?
Played phenomenal. I mean, I've always known he was capable of playing that way, and I've been with Derek this is year 5 now. So I've seen him grow and play a lot of football, and very aware of his skill set and his ability. So it's not surprising at all that he played the way he did, but I'm super proud of him and pumped for his accolades that he's receiving.
Send it along to Chris Baldwin and then Andy Yanez. Chris?
Clayton, we were talking to Donovan Mutin, and he was telling us how as soon as the schedule comes out, he's like, starting to scout the teams and looking at, who offensive coordinators are, all that kind of stuff. Have you seen obviously you're not around him as much being on offense, but have you seen a defensive player be that into, sort of preparation as him before?
I have not. Donnie's a professional, in every sense of the word, like he was saying, he prepares like a professional. I think he takes care of his body like a professional, and, just handles himself in a manner that's very, professional like. So, he's probably one of the best that I've seen do it at this, age. I know a lot of guys, when they get to the NFL, they don't learn those habits until they get there. But I think he's already starting to learn, at the college level, which is impressive.
We'll send it along to Andy Yanez. Andy?
Clayton, through the first 2 games, I was wondering, what have you seen from the 2 receivers in Matt Golden and Sam Brown early on, just in terms of, coming into the season and being able to fit in their roles?
I think Golden's done a really good job. Obviously he's an 18-year-old freshman, which is, tough to come in and play right away, but he's more than talented, and he's done a really good job, in my opinion. Sam's done a good job. He just needs to, continue to be patient. He hasn't had a whole lot of opportunities, but he just needs to be patient because his time's going to come. And, when it does, it'll be good for him.
One more question before we let Clayton go. Clayton, thanks so much for your time and best of luck on Saturday.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right, everybody, we can go ahead and pick back up. We're joined by defensive lineman Derek Parish. Derek, thanks so much for your time here today, as always.
No problem.
We can get started with questions. Mark, if you're there, we'll send it your direction first.
Yeah, I'm here. I don't think my camera's working worth a damn, but I'm here. How are you? Better y'all have to look at me anyway. Derek, how are you?
What's going on? How are you?
When Doug Belk was asked a little bit ago if he thought what happened in the first 2 games with your defense, if that would drive the team in the home opener against Kansas, he said his quote was, "Oh, they're pissed." How do you? Our guys are pissed. What is your take on that thought about your defense right now?
That's what he said was exactly true. Us as a defense, we did the most that we could, and the outcome wasn't just there. But we're mad, and our fire is fueled for
these upcoming games to avoid situations like that.
Thanks, Mark. We'll send it along to Chris Baldwin. Chris?
Hey, Derek, after a game like that, did you get you set the sack record. Did you get a lot of messages, from guys you played with before and, other people? And is there a favorite one or two you received that sort of stuck out?
I mean, yeah. People hit you up after the game, but after the game, I really wasn't even worried about the stats. I was worried about that last play I could have made because that could have changed the game, like results wise. But I mean, it was cool getting messages from former teammates and people that was really I guess rewarding in a sense. But no, yeah, I really wasn't worried about too much of that. I just kept replaying that last play in a sense of that.
Thanks, Chris. We'll pass it along to Joseph Duarte.
Derek, in the preseason, I know you were telling us about, some of the goals that you had and sort of this being your last year and wanting to go out with the bang. Through 2 games, do you, I don't want to say, do you feel like you raised your game on a whole nother level, but how do you feel, is this even catching you a little bit in terms of, people, 4.5 sacks is 4.5 sacks, man. Is that sort of gotten you just your mind, you wrap around things and how you played?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, you always dream of, having that many sacks in a game. And I guess like in a sense I kind of manifested it with my thoughts. But I mean, I don't know. I was just kind of like, dang, the stat line was crazy. But I mean, but I also wanted to take it as like, a humble way to see it because, that's a game. That's a lot of stats, and that I'm not saying it won't ever happen again, but I think that things just God helped me out. Things worked in my favor in that game. And I mean, I just gonna keep playing the same way, find that flow state again, and keep doing what's best for my team, keep trying to help my team win.
That Sack Avenue leaderboard has to look pretty good right now, though. You at the top in terms of the numbers.
Yeah, so far DA still has the crown. We got 12 games left, so I'm gonna let him hold it till the end of the season.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll send it to James Mueller.
Yeah, Derek, a moment ago, Doug Belk was talking about how even though y'all faced, 2 dual threat quarterbacks in the opening 2 weeks, how Jalen Daniels of Kansas might be, the best combination of a runner and passer you've seen. What have you seen from him on film and sort of some of the challenges he presents and like what will y'all have to do to slow him down?
I mean, we respect our opponent greatly, and I agree with what Coach Belk said. He's like more of a sense of Lamar Jackson. That's exactly what I was thinking whenever I was watching tape on him yesterday. He's quick. He knows how to run. He's good on his feet, and he knows how to make guys miss. So just keeping him contained and keeping that pocket and stopping a run is really what's going to think is our best game plan. I mean, that's really how it is every week, though. You stop the run, you get an opportunity to rush the passer.
Thanks, James. We'll send it over to Andy Yanez. Andy?
Hey, Derek, how you doing?
What's going on?
Good, nothing much. My question is just Doug Belk just talked about how really a big factor, obviously your performance against Texas Tech, but he also talked about how just that competition along the defensive line group, obviously with you, Caesar, and Anthony Jones. Can you talk a little bit about how you guys compete, for the lack of a better phrase, during practice, and do you feel like that really helps build you up once game day rolls around?
Most definitely, and that's why the D-line room is I think is a special room to me because we're all fighting to be the best in the room, and there's no animosity in the room as well, and I think that's what makes us closer because we're all competing for that top spot, but we all love each other in the process, and we always have fun together on the field regardless of who's making the plays, who's making more plays. We're always happy for each other regardless, and I think that's why our room is so great because we feed off each other. Once say DA makes a play, C's makes a play, I'm gonna be just as happy for him as they are with me if I make a play. And just seeing the guy you work so hard next to, you go through the same stuff with every day, you want to see them succeed just like they do with you, and I think that's something special. I think you can't beat that.
We'll pass it along to Mark Berman. Mark?
Derek, you were asked about what kind of responses you got from about your play of last week. So what does your brother, the sniper, think about your play?
Oh man, I had talked to him that next day. You know, he was super proud, and hearing his voice, him calling me and him saying that kind of made me like not really in awe, but like, kind of made me happy because he was watching, he was supporting me, and as my brother, man, that's what you love to hear, that's what you love to see, making someone in your family with your last name proud.
Where is he living right now?
He's at Fort Bragg in North Carolina.
So how cool is that he's sitting there at a military place checking out his brother?
Yeah, man, I just he's probably with his barracks boys in there watching the game, and that makes me happy. You know what I mean? If it was like, if I could watch him go do a mission or something, like a live feed, like a football game, I'd do it 10 times out of 10. I think that'd be so cool.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mark. We'll send it to Chris Baldwin. Chris?
Derek, Dana was saying, that was the single best individual defensive performance he's seen. He's been around for a while, and he doesn't throw a lot of praise around just to say it. What does it mean when you hear him say something like that?
Man, I don't want to say I got teary-eyed, but when I heard that, it kind of made me happy because that's a coach I respect a lot, and hearing him say that made me, it makes me want to go harder for him as a head coach and do a little bit more, for the team, because it really kind of, I don't think players or coaches kind of know how far like one simple compliment and like one little phrase to a player can help, how far that can bring him, like how far that can make him go, because you want your superiorities and your higher power to believe in you when you're on the field. And I think that that just really just made me happy.
Send it along to Joseph Duarte. Joseph?
Derek, I want to ask you just your thoughts on some of the guys on the D line, especially Cedric Williams. What you've maybe gathered from him. The guy's been through a lot in his career so far. Just some of the things that he's gone through. Just what you've seen from him and getting some quality snaps out of him on the D line.
Man, one thing I got to say about Seb, bro, he's a straight dog. It don't matter how he's feeling, what he's feeling. He's going to go out there and he's going to play football. And I got the utmost respect for Seb. He's one of my best friends in the D-line room. And, seeing him inside to my left or my right, man, it's, I got a lot of trust in him, and I know he's going to do right. And he's one of those guys that I think will soon be a leader. He already is a leader in the D-line room, but I think he'll soon be up for a captain role. Just the way he plays, his motor, his mindset, how he brings the interior guys, the D-line room together, man. Like, I think he's going to be up for a captain role, man. He deserves it.
And Derek, if I could follow, just I know you respect your opponent, but when you have a game like you did the other day, do you look over and sense something? Can you see it in the tackle's face, or if they were rotating guys in, just what a performance like you had can do to a tackle or offensive lineman when they're trying to find ways? Were you getting doubled very much, or
I was getting chipped a little bit. They started chipping me towards the end of the game with the running back a little bit, and I think a couple times with the tight end. But I mean,
you see it though when you're having that kind of success that it just kind of gets in their head.
And that was kind of the thing. Like, I really wasn't focused too much on himself, but more of my keys on him. Like, in my opinion, it don't really matter what he's thinking or not. I got to do what I got to do to get around you, get through you, or, just do what I can to get the sack, make the play, get us off the field, anything I could do to help the team, regardless of who's in front of me. I think is, the job's got to get done.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll send it over to Chris Baldwin. Chris?
Derek, can you see the confidence of this, secondary improving, those 3 interceptions, last 20 minutes or so, can you sort of see that growing with this group?
Most definitely. Those 3 interceptions, they was running a little bit of tempo. And I told Jace after we got that pick 6, you bailed us out because, they're a fast tempo team, and, 20 yards, you end up running 40 yards down the field, back to back plays. So, having those guys back there do that for y'all, for the defense to get us off the field, really helps us out. And man, seeing those guys produce and make plays like that really makes me happy up front. It makes us happy up front because we want everybody on the defense to eat. And I know Jason's little boy was happy when he got that pick six, man. So.
Thanks, Chris. Keep it open if there's one or two more for Derek, and we'll send it to Joseph Duarte.
Hey, Derek, I don't know if you saw this, but if you ever decide to run for office, maybe Brian Early should be like your campaign manager, because he posted on Twitter that half sack that you weren't originally credited for. And I think he was trying to get people to decide whether it should go to you or I think maybe Jamari. And you ended up getting it, and that was the one that broke the record. Did you see your coach go to bat for you like that?
I did. I really appreciate Coach Early for that. But in my opinion, I think I should have got the full sack if we really want to get debate on it. But I love Jamari, man. He's going to be a crazy player for us. I think he's going to be a first rounder down the road. But I think that was mine. I think that was on mine.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll pass it along to Chris Baldwin.
Derek, when you're talking about your brother, you mentioned how if you could watch one of his missions, you'd love to do that. I mean, is there sort of things he tells you about that makes you a little in awe of him as well? Things he's been through.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And there's some stuff he's not really supposed to tell me, but like on the phone. But he told me during one of his training, he was out in the field during training. And he sat in the same spot for over 18 hours. Piston shit in the same spot training. I'm like, dude, that's different. Like that's a different breed right there. I don't know. You got bugs and snakes crawling right next to you. You can't even move your eye out of the scope, man. That just impresses me to see. And plus, growing up as a military kid in a military family, like you watch all these war movies and these sniper movies and these military movies, and it's like, dang, he's really doing that in real life. So seeing him follow his dream, that makes me that like kind of fills my heart up.
Derek, we appreciate your time and look forward to visiting with you again. Best of luck here on Saturday.
Appreciate it. Thank y'all.
All right, everybody, we're going to pick things back up here. We are joined by Cedric Williams. Cedric, thanks so much for your time here today. We'll go ahead and open it up for questions, and we can start with Mark Berman. Mark?
Sedrick, Doug Belk says the defense, in his words, are pissed about what happened, and that will drive the first two games. That will drive you guys going forward. How do you view that? What do you think about that? Saying y'all are pissed.
That's definitely true, man. Just because we know what we're capable of, we know where we want to be, what the end goal is in mind, and just the type of people that we have on our defense. So we just want to go out there and just put better stuff on film, you know what I'm saying? Clean stuff up, things like that, things that we know we can do.
How much can that drive you guys in this game on Saturday?
That's going to drive us a lot, just knowing we get another chance to go out there against another Big 12 quality opponent and be able to just show that we belong. So that alone is just enough motivation for us to go out there and play hard and just continue to just get better.
Thanks, Mark. We'll send it over to James Mueller. James?
Yeah. Hey, Cedric. Just since this is the first time we've gotten to talk to you this year, how has it felt just, being out there with the way last year went with missing time? How's your body felt and things like that?
Man, I feel 100%. It's probably the best shape I've ever been in. Just the best I've been all my life as far as playing shape and things like that, and just being healthy. And it just feels real good just to be out there with my brothers again, just doing what I love. Definitely gave me a different point of view on things.
And sort of speaking on that different point of view, looking back at the times where you weren't able to get onto the field last year, was there like one big takeaway from that you've been able to translate now that you're back out there healthy and ready to go?
Yeah, just the biggest would be just to not take it for granted and understand that it really does come to an end one day. As an athlete, you really don't think about it often, but just being hurt over the course of 2 years and missing most of the season, it just really made me thankful and just really understand that at any point in time it could be taken away. So just really enjoy it while it's here, so it just makes me go a little harder.
We'll pass it along to Chris Baldwin. Chris?
Hey, Cedric. does what the, the guys on defense are doing around you, and, does everyone in this defense sort of push each other, seeing what's being done, around you?
Oh yeah, most definitely. It's a standard around here, and we push each other to the max. And especially in the D line room. I could tell you, like, you can be a 1 on a depth chart one day, and you could be a 3 the next. Anybody can get shuffled around. So we just really compete hard, really push each other, and that's who we are.
We will send it over to Joseph Duarte.
Hey, Cedric, how you doing, man?
What's up, Mr. Duarte?
Good. Thanks for doing this. I want to make sure, Cedric, that I don't forget things. Last year, I guess it was Rice game where it was the ankle injury, I believe, or foot
Yes,
injury.
sir.
And then the year before it was COVID. And has there been anything else? Because I mean, you've had a hard road, man, since you got here. Does that sort of sum up the obstacles or the main things that you've gone through, since you've been here?
That's really just a couple. It's a couple other things. I mean, I had since I've been here, I had a broken rib, a broken shoulder, broken ankle, and then the heart problems 2020.
Right.
But yeah, it's been tough, but hey, we still here.
Is that, you mentioned about how it can all go away, just like that. Does that, when you come into a season and you're healthy and, cross your fingers, everything goes well, is that just, it makes you love it even more? I mean, it's an appreciation, just to keep,
Yeah, most definitely. And I love ball regardless before all of that, but putting all of that into perspective and going through all those things, it just made me love it even more and just really be thankful knowing that I could get hurt out here, this game, knowing that before the game, but that's never stopped me from going hard. I always promise myself that I'm gonna play the game how it's supposed to be played while I'm playing it, and that's full speed, at all times. So yeah.
Your hometown wasn't affected by the hurricane during all this, was it? Or was that might have been Christian?
Yeah, Christian had they actually had a hurricane. I think it was 2 years ago.
Okay.
But last year, yeah, it hit home in Louisiana.
Okay, so I mean that's just another thing that you're
Yeah,
probably
another
worrying
thing,
about, and
yeah.
you're not playing ball at the time. Did you? I'm sorry, Andrew. I'll end it with this one. There was some talk. I think you came back late in the year, right? Did you play in the bowl game?
Yes, sir. I played against Auburn.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll send it to Chris Baldwin.
During those 2 years you talked about, and was there ever a point you wondered if you were going to be able to get back, or were you worried, or were you always confident that at some point you'd be able to play and show what you could do?
Yeah, I mean, for the injuries like the ankle and the rib and things like that, I knew I could bounce back from that. It's all pretty much a physical thing. But with the heart problems, that's something that a lot of people didn't really have any information on. Even the doctor told me, like, he didn't know if I'd be able to play again. So that was probably a little tougher than everything else. But yeah.
Thanks, Chris. We'll keep it open here and send it along to Joseph Duarte.
Is that that's something that they take very careful, Cedric, with the heart deal? Was that you could go get an MRI, like you said, for your ankle or foot, but when you hear a heart doctor tell you, hey, you're cleared, you can go back to doing all this stuff. Was that a load off your shoulders that, you go from worrying about not just your football career, but your life? Can you live a normal life to being cleared to play football?
Yeah, well, I just felt like I had an identity again, because I mean they tell us we need to be more than football players, but it's really all I've done since I was 9, 10 years old, and that was the first time I really had to go without it. So I felt like getting it back, I was able to find myself again, but it also taught me I need to be somebody else beside the football player. So it was all a blessing in disguise.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll send it back to Chris Baldwin.
Cedric, Donovan Mutin was telling us how, as soon as the schedule comes out, he's like starting to scout opponents, for the next year, and looking at, things like even who the offensive coordinator is. Have you seen another player, put as much into preparation as he does? And have you sort of picked up on anything from that?
Man, Donnie is like a young old man. He he's still a younger guy, but he's so mature, and like nobody puts in the same preparation he does. We try to mimic it. We try to pick little things from him, and so we can become as well-rounded as him. But man, he's one of a kind. He's different.
Thanks, Chris. We'll send it to James Mueller and then keep it open if there's one or two more. James?
Yeah, Cedric, you've talked about, that new perspective you've gained on football. And one of the things talking to some of your teammates on the D line has just been about the brotherhood in the position room. Can you talk about that a little? And has that made, going through this to where you are now even more enjoyable, more worth it?
Yeah, most definitely, man. Them boys, we all brothers, man. We so close. We pretty much all of us came in around the same time. So and a lot of us came from junior college too. So we understand the different things that each of us had to go through. So we're really, really tight. And it just makes coming back all the better because I want to go hard for them. I want to show them that I belong with them, because I mean, we say Sac Ave. I really only played 2 games last year, so I still feel like in a sense, I'm proving to my teammates, I'm trying to be a part of what they started,
We'll send it over to Joseph Duarte.
Cedric, does a game like Derek Parish have sort of motivate everybody to want to get in on that action? Do you tell them, hey, save a sack for the rest of us, or how does that go? How do you guys take what he did and maybe try to have it spread to the rest of the group?
Yeah, well, we know how this football stuff works, man. One guy go off, it just keeps on happening. So I mean, we got 12 more games, 12 more weeks. So somebody's gonna go off each and every week. But when he's going off, we just keep on telling him, man, keep going, go get that record, He's not the type of player to be thinking about it during the time. He don't know his stats, but we looking at it and we know. So we cheering him on. Come on, DP, let's go get another one.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll keep it open if there's one more. Cedric, thanks so much for your time as always, and we wish you the best of luck on Saturday.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all.